So very recently, over the last day or two, I noticed that one of my or our, let's say, older videos had gained hundreds of new views, okay? And I looked at the analytics and it said they were from an external site. I had no idea what this external site was, as YouTube didn't tell me what the external site was until very recently, until this last day, where I found out it was actually from Y Combinator, or specifically the forum that's always amused me the way it's been named, Hacker News. And I had the interesting link on there to something called WriterDeck OS, which I hadn't actually heard of before, except I had because it used to be called Tinker OS. Tinker OS is a Linux operating system that I did a video on, which is specifically for turning your computer into a writing machine without distractions. And it's got me thinking about this again. Now, this rebrand Writer Deck OS is an interesting one because a writing deck, if you are not aware, is a machine or a means to have distraction-free writing, okay? And when I did this video on, as it was then, Tinker OS, I wasn't hugely impressed with it. It was a good idea and I wholly agree with it, but there were some issues. And when I look back over that video, which I now remember well, one of the things I needed to do, or you would need to do, is install Vim. Because really, if you are serious about being a distraction-free writer or having a writing machine that's distraction-free, there is really only one solution. And I mean this unambiguously, I mean this unironically, and that is Vim, okay? And there's some good reasons for this. So with WriterDeck OS, unless they've changed it, Tinker OS, as it was, had like 3 or 4 options as default. One of them not being Vim, okay? And all of these options effectively are not distraction free. And when I say not distraction free, they all come with TUI environments. Vim technically you could say has a TUI environment, but what I mean by TUI environment is it had like a file, edit, view, all this kind of bar nonsense, all these kind of distractions that populate the screen, okay? Now there's maybe ways to turn this off, that's fine. But there's another reason why you need Vim as distraction free. If you use Vim, you are keyboard centric. Now I know technically Tilda and one of the other text editors, whatever, is terminal based, right? Is you're going to use the mouse. Maybe you can use GPM, is it GPM? The mouse in the terminal program. But okay, I appreciate it. It's keyboard centric by definition, but in practice, the only way to utilize your keyboard properly for navigating, editing, is Vim. And if anybody, even if they're not computer literate, is serious about writing distraction free, you need to learn Vim. You need to spend those few hours hazing, maybe a couple of days hazing period, learning Vim, because there's no substitute. There's nothing like Vim that's adequate. There just isn't. All of these text editors whose navigation are by keyboard keys such as the arrow keys is a wholly inefficient distraction to text editing, especially if you're into distraction-free text editing. So WriterDeck OS is, I'm afraid, not a good solution. Now, yes, you can install Vim on WriterDeck OS. I assume things haven't changed. It is Linux after all, and I did a video on it. So if you are insistent on using WriterDeck OS, look at that video. It's just Debian. You can update the system and install Vim. It's not the end of the world. And change the whatever the configuration file is to have Vim opening up when you start up the computer, right? Or choose it. I can't literally remember, just whatever. You follow the video, it'll be in the description. That being said, if you are serious, you need to learn Vim motions, you need to learn Vim editing, you need to learn Vim, okay? You need to learn it. There is no substitute if you're serious about writing. And I say this because I am a writer, okay? I write screenplays, I've written many screenplays, and there has been no equivalent, and I've used lots of different software. There is no equivalent to Vim. It just isn't, okay? So I feel I've got a stake in the game. I feel I've got the experience to say this. I know there will probably be comments going, yeah, but I use Nano because Nano, whatever. Nobody cares about Nano. Nano is a disgrace to the GNU project, I'm afraid. It's a placeholder, I guess. That's fine, but it's just awful. It's an awful text editor. Hey, maybe it's even better using something like Emacs, which isn't really a text editor. I know, whatever. I'm sure I'll get comments saying, you can't say that. Well, I just have, okay? Vim is the best. Use Vim, no substitutes. And this also goes for if you are using Windows, you're using Mac or Linux, use Vim. You can get Vim in everything. In fact, spicy take, I'd rather use Vim with Windows than Nano with Linux. If I couldn't get Vim in Linux, I'd rather use Windows and Vim. So yeah, put that in your pipe and smoke it. So I think that makes my point clear enough. I will leave the video there. So amusingly, yes, I am now internet famous, or we're internet famous because Hacker News or Y Combinator linked one of my videos. I don't know how that happened, but yeah, so hundreds of new views on that video. Maybe you'll get 2 more views if I put that in the description. So you know what to do, the fake YouTube. You can like, comment, subscribe. And I want to give special thanks to the Patreons. That's Sean, that's HDX80Nerd, and that's Soul. Thank you guys very much for supporting the channel. Stalwarts of supporting the channel, I appreciate it. And I think it was actually Soul who originally put me onto TinkerOS, Writer OS as well. So thanks a lot. You are responsible for that video, really. Anyway, if you want to join the Patreon, we would appreciate it. It is in the description on how to do that. And I will see you guys in the next one.